What about Ashton Kutcher? Because Ashton Kutcher, who I believe could possibly just as bad. Ashton Kutcher as well. Listen, he's not guilty of this, but he arranged a date. He was late for that date. And when he got to the girl's house, he looked through the window. She was stabbed 47 times. The man ended up getting charged. But Ashton Kutcher was also involved with Abercrombie and Fitch. I think it's Mr. Jeffries who's just been done for trafficking. Ashton Kutcher was also friends with Brittany Murphy, who also was friends with P. Diddy, who also died the same death as Kim Porter. Now, Ashton Kutcher as well also runs a child protection thing. I think it's called Fawn, where he's trying to save children. But we know now a lot of these people use this thing for child trafficking to actually not expose it, but to gain from their own benefit. He was also married to Demi Moore, and there was a video of Demi Moore kissing a 12-year-old.
Ashton Kutcher just dropped a bombshell clip that could forever change the way we view Diddy's infamous freak-offs, and trust us, what you're about to hear is nothing short of jaw-dropping. The video, now making waves on social media, reveals a shocking moment from the 2003 MTV movie.
Hey! Oh my gosh, this so rocks! I just want to say,
You're doing so good. You're doing so good.
I just want to say, everyone will suffer. Thanks! MTV Rock! I won the MTV Movie Award.
Coming to the after party tonight. Yeah!
Coming to the after party tonight.
The awards that's raising some serious red flags. Diddy, back in the day, invited a 12-year-old actress, Davey Chase, to a private after party. Something that, in hindsight, seems extremely unsettling, especially when you know what's been brewing in Hollywood's darkest corners. But
I don't think I ever told this story, and I'm about to tell this story here. While he was married to Demi Moore, he was still sneaking around seeing Brittany Murphy. You understand? We were going to a Nets game, so we picked him up, and he was explaining to Diddy that every time he goes to Brittany's house, paparazzi always catches him or almost catch him coming out her apartment or coming out the building. And Diddy was telling him that's either the doorman or your security. You know what I'm saying? And he was still married to Demi Moore at the time. So you could have something, you could be right. Because it's crazy how they said her and Kim and some other individual with them or around them all died of pneumonia, and they were in perfect health.
here's the twist. Ashton Kutcher's role in this whole mess is much more complicated than anyone anticipated. Known for his laid-back, easygoing persona, Kutcher is now facing public scrutiny after admitting his past interactions with Diddy. His ties to the hip-hop mogul have always been part of Hollywood's insider culture. But after the release of this clip, fans and critics alike are raising questions about how deep the connection really went. Was this footage strategically dropped by...
Recording in every room? Was he recording people's sex? And was he recording everything? Or how far-fetched is it that he had videos of everyone?
Well, I'm just saying, if they recovered over 250 cameras, whoa, he had recordings of everything and everywhere. You know, I don't think is no house that big that you need 250 cameras. You know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. But as far as I got the same knowledge that everybody else have regarding that, the taping and the filming and everything like that. So it's not far-fetched at all if the federal government has seized that information.
A lot of people now will be running for the hills. A lot of people will turn against him. Same as the Epstein stuff when they says there was recordings and they had everyone. But the only thing is, whether they not show the recordings, but release the names who were involved. Now, I've no issues with people having parties and having orgies and taking drugs and drinking. I don't give a for that. It's when the fact that they're saying people were drugged, people were groomed, kids possibly groomed. You see the video of Justin Bieber at 14 and how uncomfortable he made him feel, saying you're staying with Uncle Puff for 48 hours. Like, it's just, that's not a normal way for a man to act around children.
By Ashton to finally expose what's been suspected for years about Diddy's inner circle? Or is it a desperate attempt by a man who's trying to distance himself from a growing scandal that threatens to ruin him? Ashton's history is now under the microscope, and it doesn't help that this clip ties him to Diddy's increasingly murky past.
Ashton and Puffy, or Diddy, have been friends for decades. And they've done movies together, they've hung out together, and he can't say anything because he's one of those guys. Remember, I did that story last week, like, where are all Diddy's friends? Because the silence is deafening. A lot of them don't want people looking into their closet, but Ashton doesn't want the blowback that he got with Danny Masterson.
All right, so pretty tepid in how they reply. Meantime, we're hearing Diddy's ex, Cassie, is cooperating with the feds during this investigation.
100%.
What more is she saying, Paula?
She's not saying anything. So here's the deal. She had sued him for sex trafficking, rape, a bunch of horrible laundry list of stuff. And he settled. It's the one case he settled. It was the first case he settled it. I'm hearing for around $30 million. However, just because you settle a case, you may have an NDA, but if the feds come a knocking, you better answer.
You can only go by what you read, what you hear, and if you see somebody have all red rooms, the first thing you're going to say is, why? If I walk in this hotel room and everything around this room, the furniture, the walls, the ceiling, everything is red, I'm going to be backing up out of here with my gun, with my hand on my gun. That shit is going to scare the shit out of me. Wouldn't it you?
Right, it would. He talking about it scares the shit out of me.
You know what I'm saying? You're going to walk in rooms, so when you see that he had rooms that were all red with loudspeakers for the music and 1,000 bottles of baby oil, you're going to say, something ain't right. Something just ain't sitting right here. So for people who have been involved in and seen that, they should have known something was wrong, something was different. And they should have known that something is about to go down that has probably never been involved in and went down before in my life.
Resurfacing footage shows Diddy extending a seemingly innocent invitation to the young actress. But as we all know, things aren't always what they seem in Hollywood. Social media exploded after the video resurfaced, calling the interaction creepy and sick, with fans expressing deep concern for David Chase, who was only 13 at the time. Critics argue that this is part of a much bigger picture, a pattern of predatory behavior that Diddy has allegedly exhibited for years.
Diddy has denied the charge through his lawyer, who said, for the past 6 months, Mr. Combs has been subjected to Miss Ventura's persistent demand of $30 million under threat of writing a damaging book. Miss Ventura has now resorted to filing a lawsuit riddled with baseless and outrageous lies. This statement came from the same lawyer who represented Harvey Weinstein, the Hollywood mogul convicted of rape after the Me Too movement protested his abuse of power. The allegations against Diddy follow others made against other powerful industry figures in hip-hop. The hip-hop DJ Tim Westwood was recently interviewed by the police under caution following allegations of sexual misconduct. Allegations also faced by the mogul L.A. Reid, who signed Usher and Pink. He is currently facing a civil lawsuit alleging sexual harassment. Both men denied the allegations, But what impact will the growing list of claims have in this billion-dollar industry?
You have to understand, he's not a rapper. I saw him described in UK news as a rapper. He's not just a rapper, he's an executive, he's a CEO. He signed some of the biggest artists in the world. He's made millions and billions of pounds. He has friends in high places. I don't think this one thing is gonna mess up his career.
As Diddy strongly denies the allegations, the question now is how will the industry and the scene now respond to the man instrumental in building it?
But see, before Kirk even said something about that Diana Ross thing, I told Kirk. I called Kirk up and I said, man, you a sucker. He said, what? He said, "Nick, you all hugged up with Diddy. My man got a picture of it and he showed it to me." He said, "Gene, what a picture at?" I said, "My man got it. Why? I thought you wasn't effing with him." He said, "No, Gene." He came up to me, he grabbed me real tight, and he told me, "I don't owe you nothing. You know I don't owe you nothing, right?" He said, he didn't say nothing to, he said Diddy tried to get him to go out with him and wanted him to take some pills. So I said, oh, so y'all trying to rekindle y'all shit, huh? I said, so y'all try to rekindle y'all shit, huh? He was like, nah, I wasn't gonna go out with him. I wasn't gonna do none of that. I was like, yeah. And then a couple of months later, he called me and said, yo, Gene, where your friend at who had that picture of me and Puff? I need it. I said, I don't know where yet. And that was it.
Makes this leak even more disturbing is the context of Kutcher's involvement in Hollywood, a place where power, exploitation, and manipulation seem to go hand in hand. Let's take a deeper look at Ashton's life outside of his charming punked persona. He's long been known for his philanthropic work, especially his efforts with the Thorn Foundation, an organization designed to protect children from exploitation. But now, some are asking, how could a man so dedicated to protecting children be so intertwined with the very people accused of exploiting them?
Now, host of Takedown with Chris Hansen, Chris Hansen. So now we have two people come out saying that Diddy was talking to the feds. Do you think that's true?
Whether it's true or not, and he might have been cooperative in some way, shape, or form, you don't get away with human trafficking unless you give up John Gotti or something like that, and that's not what happened here. I can tell you, Jesse, that this investigation's been going on for a long time, very closely held by HSI, so much so that even some of the agents on the raid a week ago today didn't know whose house they were raiding until they got there. That's how closely held this investigation.
Wow, because there could have been a tip.
Absolutely.
And there are allegations that he was paying law enforcement through his chief of security, which also happened to be Michael Jackson's chief of security.
I don't know if I buy into that. You know, people in Diddy's situation like to have those involved in law enforcement close to them. But that doesn't mean they're taking payoffs. That doesn't mean they're doing big favors. They like that closeness. It's just like how Diddy was able to court Diageo or Estee Lauder. He was very successful in doing that, and that made him a lot of money and gave him credibility outside the hip-hop rap world. And that's what he was trying to do here, a lot like what Epstein did with very powerful political and business.
Could it be that Ashton, like many other stars, has turned a blind eye to the darker side of Hollywood's power plays? But there's another layer to this. Ashton's personal relationship with Diddy, a friendship that began years ago through the MTV show Punk'd, has become a topic of increasing controversy. The two were fast friends, bonding over their shared experiences in the entertainment industry. But now, people are questioning whether Ashton was just another pawn in Diddy's game. Could he have been manipulated, or was...
But that's what I've been saying. I said, if the federal government wanted somebody more than they want Diddy, if he has some information about some people that they would rather have other than him, he's able to get that information to them. But they gotta want it. They gotta want it. And Ashton Kutcher and him they were real tight. One time, me, him, Ashton Kutcher, went to a Nets game and we met Jay-Z there. You know what I'm saying? So they were close, they was cool.
But you think Diddy would do something like that? Lie on other celebrities?
Well, why would it have to be a lie? Because if he get caught in, he gonna be as truthful as possible. You understand? He's gonna give them enough information, whereas that it's gonna make him look like the choir boy. So, Ashton Kutcher, he has a right to be kind of alarmed if he was doing things with Diddy. Remember they used to have that group called the what do they call it? The Brat Pack? With Diddy, him, and a couple other guys was hanging out. Leonardo, one other guy too. I forgot the other guy's name. So, they all might be worried.
For him to come out with that comment, I mean, that is suspect. It sounds like he's worried that Diddy might give up some information.
That's why. That's why he made that statement. To set it up. To set up the atmosphere that, yo, this guy's gonna lie on us. This guy ain't gonna tell the truth on us. But what we know is that wherever Diddy went, his tape recorders went. His camera equipment was working. He was videotaping everything.
Is he complicit in a culture that allowed such behavior to thrive unchecked? One thing's for sure, this wasn't just a casual friendship. There were real stakes involved. The growing public interest in this story has led to new revelations. Sources close to Ashton have hinted at his concerns over how deep the Diddy scandal goes. Reports suggest that Kutcher is worried about the possible fallout from his association with the music mogul. Sources have said that Ashton is feeling manipulated and exposed, with many of his friends and family now questioning his judgment. This feeling of betrayal seems to have shaken him to the core, and it's forcing him to re-examine his connections in Hollywood. His once unapologetic prankster persona has now given way to a man who is visibly shaken by the weight of these new allegations. Ashton's resignation from his role at the Thorne Foundation in the wake of the Danny Masterson scandal only adds to the complexity of his situation. Having stepped down from his post as chairman, Ashton was forced to confront his past actions, most notably his support of his former co-star Masterson during his trial. It's one thing to stand by your friends, but it's another when those friends are facing serious criminal charges. With his resignation came the harsh realization that his public support for a convicted rapist has irrevocably tarnished his image. Meanwhile, the drama surrounding Diddy shows no signs of slowing down. As his legal battles continue to escalate, his camp has denied any wrongdoing, calling the resurfaced footage nothing more than a gross misinterpretation. However, many believe the clip is merely the tip of the iceberg. With Diddy facing multiple lawsuits, including accusations of trafficking and sexual misconduct, this video has reignited fears about what really happens behind closed doors at these high-profile parties. Was Diddy recording everything?